At this point, man, you have to, Sel. If you are a Sixers fan, when you got James Harden, you thought this was your year to go to a title.
Okay.
If you are a Sixers fan, when you acquired James Harden, you thought you were acquiring a star. You thought you were acquiring a top scorer in basketball, maybe a top 4 scorer in the NBA. That's who you thought you were acquiring when you acquired James Harden. What you did not realize is you were acquiring, hopefully, the 4th best scorer on your team, behind Maxey, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. The Sixers have to regret trading for James Harden, because what is regret? Regret is when you look back on a decision and you wish you could do something differently. Oh. That's typically what causes one to regret. Oh. When I look back on trading for James Harden as a Sixers fan, somebody who bled and somebody who sweat in Philadelphia for Philadelphia sports, I wish they would have done something differently. Ben Simmons was worth more than this version of James Harden.
Okay.
That's why I regret trading for James Harden. It's not that James Harden is not giving you more than Ben Simmons was giving you on the bench. It's just that knowing what Ben Simmons had as far as value with trade bait, that's worth more than James Harden. Ben Simmons is worth more than the 4th leading scorer on the 76ers over the course of their playoff games. Ben Simmons is worth more than James Harden averaging 18 points per game. Ben Simmons was worth more than this decaying and decrepit version of James Harden.
Huh.
So I regret it because I thought I was getting somebody that was getting me closer to a chip. I didn't realize that James Harden was so far away from who we thought he was, that he actually was a 3rd, 4th, 5th most talented player on a team. I think you should absolutely regret trading for James Harden.
No, you don't regret trading for James Harden. Excuse you, Dougie Fresh. Yes. I'll tell you why you don't regret trading for James Harden, because a lot of times people go under this misnomer that sports is a microcosm of life, you know? And I hear it a lot. It's one of those cliches that the broadcasters, we all use when we get stuck and we don't have any more notes. Sports is a microcosm of life. Let me tell you something. It's not an exact parallel. There are things that are obviously in commonality, but this is not one. Why? In life, you can have regret. In life, you can be like, damn, I need to make a better decision next time, so that decision that I made before, maybe I would alter it if I could. But what you learn in life and what you're going to learn in sports is this. You can't change the beginning, but you can change how it ends. And when you're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers, they know they can't go back and reverse that trade. They know that they can't even go back and start to think about, I wish we could have reversed that trade. Because at that time, you were going after James Harden. You're going after a former MVP who's a part of a trio that just doesn't seem to be working out. A dysfunctional trio because they're all not available at the same time. Or when they're all available, someone's injured. So you're not looking at James Harden with any of the warts you're looking at him now present day with. So you don't have any regret. You made the proper decision in that moment, and now you don't have the exact results you desire. That doesn't lead to regret. That leads you to not further commit going forward. Here's the example. Let's use life, as you like to say, relationally.
Okay.
I like that word, too. You won't regret when a situation you break up with your girl. I wish I never met her. I wish I never got her number. I wish I never ever went on that date. I never wish we ever did anything. You learn from that mistake and go forward. Because trust me, if you thinking that, I know what she thinking. Same damn thing. Like Acho is the issue. So in this situation, Philadelphia 76ers, you made the right decision. You go after James Harden at that moment. Now, that decision hasn't paid off.
Okay.
And that's all you can say. We won't further commit to you, but right now, to this point, no regret.
I was going to be dramatic. I was going to raise my voice.
You ain't already?
I was going to be very exaggerative, demonstrative. But I realized you're right.
Come on, man.
The Sixers made the best decision with the information they were given.
Thank you.
That is true.
Yeah, that's it.
But just because you make the best decision with the information you are given does not absolve you from regret of the decision and the choice that you made.
I'm listening.
You can understand you made the best decision with the information that you were given.
Bang, bang.
But you can still regret the decision you made. That's where the 76ers fall, Sal.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, they made the right decision, but look at James Harden where he is now. He was averaging 29 points per game when he was in Houston. Then he's with Brooklyn, and he's averaging roughly 23 points per game. But then he continues to pivot on, and now he's averaging just 20 points per game. I understand when they acquired James Harden, they figured they were going to get the 23, maybe the 29 points per game, James Harden. But what they got instead was this 20 points per game, James Harden. Even worse than that, though, is it's not even as if James Harden is trying. Keep this full screen up for one moment longer. The more telling stat is the numbers to the far right. See, in Houston, he was putting up 20 shots a game. Then in Brooklyn, he was putting up 16 shots a game. But now he's only putting up 13, 14 shots per game.
Wait.
For me, that is more telling because it's not even that James Harden lacks the skill. It's that James Harden lacks the will. And that is more damning. So I feel you that the Sixers made the best decision with the information they were given, but you can still have some regret, big dog. It's like this. I've had food poisoning once in my life.
You did?
One time.
When?
Oh, God.
When and what?
It was July 4th, 2013.
Messed up your
I was
holiday.
eating some salmon crab cakes. Sound great.
Nah,
Salmon-
really?
No, not crab cakes, salmon cakes, obviously.
Oh,
salmon
I'm about to say,
crab.
God dang, no wonder you got food poisoning. Nah, they didn't sound
I was
good.
eating some salmon cakes, y'all. Ate them things, went down. Ooh, tastes good.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm throwing up.
Yeah.
It was the first time the scale had seen less than 230 for me since my junior year in high school. I was 228.
Silver lining.
Now, I made the best decision with the information I was given. I ate the salmon crab cakes. What's wrong with that? Salmon cakes, what's wrong with that? Healthy, nourishment, all that. But so, did I regret eating them in hindsight? Beyond the shadow of a doubt. Why? Because it did not play out how I thought it was going to play out. So while I made the best decision with the information I was given, the two things are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
You can make the best decision, which the Sixers did in acquiring James Harden for Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons don't even want to play basketball. James Harden not only wants to play, he wants to win. But just because you make the best decision with the information you're given does not absolve you from regret, big dog.
Oh, I think that example proves my point, but we'll get to it. Where you get the salmon crab cakes from that you keep calling salmon crab cakes and they salmon cakes? Airport?
No.
Airplane? Liquor store? Where'd you get them from? Somewhere you weren't
Place
supposed to eat
called
them.
My Fit Foods, which I think went bankrupt. Probably because of the salmon cakes.
Probably because you sued they. All right, let's talk about it. Oh, Acho up here wants to use new evidence to relitigate an old decision. Oh, don't do that, Acho. Don't do that. Especially when you're talking about something that's not static. We had this conversation yesterday in a different form. When you're talking about a salmon cake, someone prepared it and someone said, this is what it is. And that's what it is. It won't change. One game, it won't give you 30. One game, it won't give you 15. One game, it won't give you 10 dimes. It's a salmon cake. Eat it. James Harden, not that. When you're talking about putting James Harden on the Philadelphia 76ers, you don't know what you're getting, and what you're getting is going to change every single time you watch it. Every single time you watch it. Let's talk about this situation seriously. At the time, who was James Harden? That's all we need to say. And then you can look back at that decision, you say, that was the smartest decision to make. Do you know that at the time of the trade, James Harden was the only player in the NBA averaging 23, 10, and 8? Only two players, let's drop it down a little bit to include somebody, be inclusive. You know how social issues are now. 23, 8, and 8. Only two, him and Luka. Would you have made a trade for Luka? Yeah, buddy. Would you make a trade for James Harden? They got the same stat line, only them two qualified for that. Yeah, buddy. Harden was second in the NBA in assists when they made the trade for him. What was clouding everything was two things. How much James Harden is producing for this trio in Brooklyn, and two, how much of James Harden being a part of a trio is holding him back. Now you have new evidence, but you can't relitigate that old decision or put a different emotional state on something that was proper at that time.
But Sal, we being the Sixers, did not acquire James Harden for assists. We acquired James Harden to be a threat, particularly a three-point threat. Spread out the floor, let Joel Embiid eat. Because at the point in which they acquired James Harden, Embiid was already having an MVP caliber campaign.
Okay.
So all you needed was James Harden, go out there and give me buckets. I need somebody else dynamic to couple with Joel Embiid. And James Harden for a game or two did that.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden that has waned. How can James Harden be the fourth leading scorer on the Sixers in the playoffs? That is completely unacceptable. Maxey, it's his second time going around in these playoffs, second year in the league. Tobias Harris, he's not supposed to have more points than James.
No, I'm with you all
Harden.
this
So
right
when I
now.
look at it, I'm just like, it's completely unacceptable, but this is what's most telling. Knowing what you know now, you would make a different decision. And because we have more information, Sal, we now have to make a different decision.
But hold on. Let's use Baker Mayfield, your boy. Kinda now. You coming over here. You made him the number 1 overall pick. There was a time when you loved Baker Mayfield, Cleveland. And now is the time, this moment right now, not only do you not like Baker Mayfield, you hate Baker Mayfield so much you don't even want to give him $5. You don't even want to help him get out of town. You don't even want to help, right?
Yes, sir.
If someone walked up to the organization and said, you guys regret drafting Baker Mayfield, they better not say, hell yeah. You know what they would say? We made a decision. We rolled with the decision. That's it. If you get divorced from your wife, you're not going to sit there one day and say, I wish I never married her.
Bro,
who in the hell are y'all people? Who in the hell are y'all people?
Let me tell you how you lying.
I know I'm not lying.
Do the Browns regret picking up Baker Mayfield's 5th-year option?
5th-year option?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Beyond the shadow of a doubt, they do. Because they're like, yo, if we knew we could have acquired Deshaun Watson, we never would have picked up his 5th-year option. I know so many people. We can walk through the halls of this building. You regret getting married to your first wife. Oh, my God, absolutely. If I knew who they really were, I never would have married them.
Yeah, but if you knew who you were, you wouldn't have married them too. Did she reveal something to you, or did you not discover something about yourself? Let's get to this, Baker Mayfield. The only reason they regret the 5th-year option, you thought that wasn't a champagne moment. They regret the 5th-year option because they still got to pay it. You might be mad at your ex-wife because you still got to pay her. But I'm talking about the decision at that moment. I'm talking about the time that you guys spent together, the duration of that. If they didn't have to pay Baker Mayfield anything going forward, they wouldn't regret no 5th-year option. They'd be like, well, who gives a damn? But it's a consequence that comes from this. Philadelphia don't owe James Harden nothing. He's trying to get his money.
But there is a consequence.
What's the
Now we're having a real conversation.
Oh, we weren't before?
No, sir.
I was.
There is a consequence because the consequence is you are now depending upon James Harden to be a dude that he is not. Mm-hmm. See, by trading for James Harden, you assume that if something were to happen to Joel Embiid, James Harden can carry me at least through a series or two. James Harden's done that the entirety of his career. He carried the Rockets to the Western Conference Finals, carried the Rockets to the semis. James Harden, with minimal help, can take you far. So, without Joel Embiid, you still know I got James Harden. We can go somewhere. We can go to distance. Yeah. The reason there is regret is because the Sixers are tethered to James Harden, at least for the right here and right now. And we are in the prime of Joel Embiid's career. The prime of it, the peak of it. Now, Joel Embiid's career might be wasted this season because James Harden can't do what we thought he was supposed to do. That's why the regret is there.
But they didn't bring him in for that. They brought him in because Joel Embiid didn't have a running mate. And now James Harden doesn't have a running mate. Y'all let Ben Simmons go because he couldn't show up for the moment with Joel Embiid. Now, if you really want to go there, let's talk for James Harden and his side. Where are you at, Joel Embiid? I can't do this by myself. Have I ever done it by myself? Have you done it by yourself since you looking at me sideways, Joel Embiid? So what we talking about here? What we talking about here is in basketball, as we look around, outside of maybe Dirk, and even Dirk, everybody needed their sidekick.
No, sir.
Everybody. LeBron on down. Jordan on down. You can have an argument, but you know I'm right. That's why you're spinning.
You need your sidekick to win a chip, but you don't need your sidekick necessarily to get there. Think about this.
That's true.
The Heat, they won without Jimmy Butler, 4 straight without Kyle Lowry. The Bucks won 4 straight without Middleton. The Celtics, they just won without Smart. The Suns won 2 out of 3 without Booker. The Mavs won 2 out of 3 without Doncic. Booker and Doncic, at least we have to say they're comparable to Embiid. I'm not going to sit here and act like Kyle Lowry is, but at least we have to say Booker and Doncic are comparable to Embiid. I'm not asking James Harden to win the NBA Finals today. But can you win a game in the Eastern Conference semis, please? That's all I'm asking you to do.
Against
Just
who?
give me a game against the Heat.
What seed was the Heat?
Seed with a 1 seed, sir.
So now give me this example. Since you're doing it on the fly, I hope you can do it. I don't know. What team without their best player beat the number 1 seed with just the cast of characters? Don't get quiet like it is right now. Oh, that's a whole different animal. What you put James Harden in terms of predicament, no one else has dealt with. So therefore, that's why James Harden looking at y'all like, I'm giving you 20. And I can't give you more because I'm going to blow something. My hamstring, something going to give because James Harden is not in this proper level of shape. He's not optimally trained for this moment right now. Plus, he doesn't have his sidekick. So we're looking at the series this year. You can't name someone else in this same position predicament going against the 1 seed for a reason because of their depth, because of what their talent level is and their coaching, and say you can overcome it.
But here's what we can do. We can look historically when there are 2 players that are supposed to be of supreme talent. whether it's Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. Because Steph Curry had to get through a series without Kevin Durant. Whether it's LeBron James, Kyrie Irving. LeBron James had to get through series without Kyrie Irving. We can look when you're talking about two supremely talented players,
the better of
which
the two.
James Harden and Joel Embiid are supposed to be supremely talented, that one can at least, not even get me through a series, can you get me a game? I just need a game. The Mavericks stole games without Luka. The Suns stole games without Booker. Can you just get me Sale? I just need Harden to just keep me alive until the EMT gets here. I don't need you to, I don't need you to supply the oxygen. Just breathe. That's it. Just keep me alive till we can get the EMTs here, big dog.
Careful with that God complex, doctor. You ain't keeping nobody alive if it's time to go. Let's talk about that. Right now, if I'm looking at this Philadelphia 76ers team, you still haven't given me. LeBron kept them alive without Kyrie. Did Kyrie have to keep him alive? He wasn't even put in that position to keep him alive without LeBron against the number one seed. Come on. That's what we're dealing with right now. And the series is not over. They're finally going to go back to Philadelphia. That energy, role players step up. James Harden hopefully gets his running mate, the same running mate who signed off on the trade for him to come. I got another point to make because this got really interesting. I like how this went down in terms of conversation. I didn't think I was going to defend James Harden because I'm not really a fan of James Harden's commitment to the game and commitment to himself. Therefore, if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, I'm not committing forward to James Harden long term. But in terms of regret, I'm sorry, big dog. The dude was still a monster in terms of what you saw in production and what you saw in circumstance. You thought you could take him away from that and then get more out of him. They've been let down, but I don't think they regret it.